and welcome back. If you are new around here, then hello, nice to meet you, and if you are returning, thank you very fucking much for coming back. You know how much it means to me, and I have no doubt if you've read the title of this video, you already know why I'm here, and it'll either be a big shock to everybody or there's going to be a lot of you thinking, yeah, I kind of had an idea that might be what was going on. If you have clicked on this video because you are somebody who's going to become a new parent or has just become pregnant and you've never watched my videos before, my name is Alana. I'm a 30-something lady who lives in Scotland. That is where the accent is from. And I am also a type 1 diabetic, and I have congenital heart defects that I have had surgery on previously. I don't usually say that at the start of my videos, but for the context of this video, I think it's quite important. I usually talk about a lot of kind of makeup, hair care, lifestyle, travel, vlogging, bullshit, and I do like to use the odd sweary word, so that is your word of warning. I would like to say new hair because I just got this done this week, but time this video goes up, I have no doubt you will already have seen this hairdo in a couple of videos. So grab yourself a tea, a coffee, a cuppa, whatever the fuck you like. I have got a decaf coffee today, and let's just get into this. Okay, so as I said already, there's probably a few of you who are already privy to this information. There were a couple of people who follow me over on Instagram. I will put my Instagram here. The link will be down below. Please feel free to go and follow me over there. And there was a few people that I let know that this was happening. People that I've spoke to and became really quite close with over, especially over pandemic times and the last 18 months. And of course, close friends and family are already privy to this information, and work colleagues as well now. But as I film this, I am actually 22 weeks pregnant, and on Monday, so today is Friday the 18th of December? 17th of December, sorry. And as I film this, I am 22 weeks pregnant, and I will be 23 weeks pregnant on Monday the 20th of December. So why have I left it so long to put anything out there in the open? Probably because I have had a lot of complications, a lot to take on board. As I have spoke about my chronic illness and my health complications previously in the past, that does lead me to be a high risk pregnancy. I knew that before going into this. This is not something we have just off the cuff decided. It's something that has been spoken about between myself and Alan for quite some time. And the main reason being my health being at the forefront, especially for Alan, and making sure that I was in the right position and of good health and the best possible health to do this. I actually was hoping this would happen a little sooner than it has. We started talking about it early 2020, but obviously the great big old lovely beer that we like, I'm just using that word because I know sometimes YouTube and Instagram don't like it when you use the official terminology, which is a bit fucking weird, quite frankly. But before the pandemic, that hit and it set me back quite a bit. I was on some pre-pregnancy lists with a couple of my teams, diabetes, cardiology, etc. And then COVID hit and I couldn't get certain MRIs done, I couldn't get certain tests done. Oh, my light just had a wee flash there. That's a little scary. Yeah, so I couldn't get certain scans done, things like that. So that kind of put it on the back burner for a bit, and it wasn't until May this year, 2021, that I got the green light to say, do you know what, everything looks, your heart looks good, your diabetes is top notch. It has been for a while, but like a good few years I've always looked after my diabetes, but they were really happy with me, things were going well, they'd put me on some new medication, they'd swap me onto some other stuff, blah blah blah, and they said, go for it. Go make some babies. So we started trying officially. Very lucky to have fell very quickly. And so I then found out on the 10th of August, yeah, I think it was the 10th. I am going to put up the same day that I put this up my pregnancy vlogs, because I feel like it's important that I'm showing you the journey And again, for me being someone who's got these health complications, that's why I want to put that out there. I know there's a million trillion pregnancy vlogs, there's a million trillion mum and baby channels. Just so you know, if you are a regular viewer, do not worry, that is not what this channel is going to become. This channel has always been predominantly about me and my life, within reason, but I don't want it to just become mum and baby. I don't really know if I'm wanting to put my child out there like that. I probably won't. This experience and what I want to share with you is because of the health complications that I've got. I feel it's really important because when I fell pregnant, I found it very difficult to find a lot of information on people like myself or someone with combined medical issues. I did find one wonderful lady called Lauren, who I'm going to link her channel up here, and she is a bit more like mum and baby, that's what her channel is about. But she is a type 1 diabetic as well, and I watched her videos back to back because I just thought, oh, thank God there's somebody out there that I can watch. So the reason that I've decided to put my pregnancy vlogs up is really to just put out there what my experiences have been, my mental health experiences throughout it as well, because my first trimester, and as this being my announcement video and somewhat trimester 1 roundup, even though I'm 23 weeks now, the trimester was not easy at all. It was a shock to the system, it was hard work. I don't think, even with all the preparation, talking about it from 2022, or 2020, sorry, I was ready for the task I was about to take on board. And I don't think you'll ever be ready until you become pregnant. If it's something you're thinking about and you think, oh, I'm not quite ready yet, I'm going to wait till I'm ready, you will never be ready for this. You just will never be ready for this. So if it's something you want to do, you know, crack on, get on with it. Oh, this is right. So these two, they won't leave me alone now. They are just always by my side, always want to be near me, giving me a cuddle, sometimes lying on my bump. I do have a little bump, but as I say, we will go into more detail in that in the vlogs. So I am going to put up the same day as I put up this announcement trimester 1 video. I am going to put some vlogs up as well and go into a bit more detail about what my journey has been like. I have continued to vlog through trimester 2. I am feeling much better than I was in trimester 1, thank the Lord, and that is also why I was able to come back in late December, or early December, sorry, and put some videos out. Any videos you've seen of me in 2021 from August, I was pregnant. Maybe in a couple of them didn't even know I was pregnant, but anything that went up in August or September, I was pregnant, and I either was sitting editing on the couch because I couldn't move anywhere else for fear of spewing, or just really generally not feeling great at all and having a lot of other anxieties and worries. So I basically edited them and I had them all pre-filmed anyway. I had quite a lot of content pre-filmed, which was weird for me, but I did. So anything that you've seen from August onward, I was probably pregnant but wasn't able to say anything, or didn't feel I wanted to say anything. I did speak about having boundaries back in December and why I didn't want to open up yet, and the reason for that was being, yes, getting my head around the fact that this is not going to be your normal kind of pregnancy. I hate using that word, but it is just a lot more, there is a lot more intense appointments. I have to be at the hospital a lot more than someone who is just someone who's a fit and healthy lady who's pregnant and who is maybe being cared for and seen by a midwife as opposed to a consultant. Sorry, that light keeps flickering and I don't fucking know why it's flickering. So I've just changed it a bit in the hope that it will not do it again. So on top of having all the health stuff, getting your head around the fact that you're going to have a child and you're going to have to look after another human being forever, all that stuff, it's hard enough as a woman, as someone who's becoming pregnant. Not even a woman, you don't have to be a woman to be pregnant, depends on your point of views. We're not getting into that, but as I'm saying, if you're someone who's pregnant, it takes a lot to get your head round. It takes a lot for you and your partner to get their head round, even if they are not the one who is pregnant. So there's all that aspect to things. And then unfortunately for me, I actually ended up bleeding throughout my pregnancy. I am, as I say, 23 weeks now, and I think I stopped bleeding around about 16 or 17 weeks. It started at 7 weeks, and that was just terrifying. I've never been more terrified in my life, and I don't really ever want to have to do that again. But subsequently, if I have more children, I'm now prepared that it might, sorry. Initially, obviously it was quite scary. I contacted the appropriate people, kept being reassured that it wasn't too much to worry about, but always let them know if I was to bleed again. And the problem is with the internet and the age that we live in now is that you can Google anything and find the answer you want to find or the answer you don't want to find. I actually think quite recently, by the time this goes up it'll be a little while ago, but I'm going to link Samantha Ravndal's video up here when she was talking about her cervix and what she's currently going through with having precancerous cells removed from her cervix, because I think it is a really good video to watch. I think it really related to me, and it came out at a point where I had already been through it and thought, oh, I wish this video had came out when this started. So I'm going to link it up in the corner. But basically in my early 20s, I was very similar to Sam Ravndal, and I had a colposcopy done. I don't know if anybody knows what that means, but when you go for your routine pap smears, sometimes it comes back with abnormal cells. Mine's did. I think 3 of them came back abnormal cells in my early 20s. So you go for a colposcopy, which is basically a kind of camera to look at your cervix. They use a speculum. They do all that really dignified shit that women have to do, putting your legs up in those stirrups, stick something up your foof and have a look. And basically at that point they said, right, we're gonna check and see how many of the cells we think there are. If there's quite a lot, we're gonna remove them and we'll biopsy them. And that is what happened to me. I was only maybe 23 when this happened, 23 or 24, and it is a result, potentially could be a result of having HPV as well. That is normally why it occurs. It's a very common thing in ladies, and I think Sam had spoke about that as well, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's worrying. It's always worrying. So in my early 20s, I think I was maybe a little more naive. I just kind of was not too worried about it. These doctors told me, you know, we're going to remove these. If the biopsies come back negative, don't worry. And that is what they told me. I remember in 2018 or 19, again in preparation, because we were kind of starting to have those chats, I was having some bleeding in between periods and intercourse, and I went to a gynecologist, and at that point she said the same, like, your cells that are supposed to be inside the cervix are kind of outside the cervix, but it's not anything I'm worried about. It doesn't look like it's anything particularly suspicious or nasty, so I don't think you need any treatment done at this time. And I thought, okay, fine. But what she explained to me was, and this is quite interesting, is that if you think of your cervix as a donut, so like your lips, right? This is the best way I can fucking explain it. Like your lips. And your lips have a dry part here, and then they have a wet part in here, don't they? The wet part is maybe only 1 cell thick for your skin, and the dry part is maybe 10 cells thick. Like, let's just say for round numbers, right? I can't exactly remember what the gynecologist told me, but at the time she said what is happening is your cervix is pouting and these cells come out a little bit, and if that area is bumped or bashed, be it through intercourse or otherwise, then they might bleed. And I thought, fine. I also asked her at that time, the procedure that I had done in my early 20s, should that affect me becoming pregnant, because it is something me and my partner are thinking about. And she said no. And from watching Sam's video, I think she was actually told otherwise. She was told that if she has this procedure done to remove the cells, then it might impact pregnancies further on. Obviously, I can only speak for what my doctor told me at the time. Her doctor is completely different, and there are different procedures. So there are things called, is it a LETS procedure, where it's kind of like a loop they go in and take out some. There is something called a cone biopsy where they take out a really quite large section of your cervix, and I have read that if you have the cone biopsy, sometimes you have a cervical insufficiency and you may need a stitch done in further pregnancies. But I was reassured that the procedure that I had done when I was 23, 24, the cervix had grown back as normal. Like, there wasn't any shortening of my cervix. It wasn't like any different other than having this pouting. So I didn't worry about it, I didn't think about it. And then obviously when I became pregnant and 7 weeks into the pregnancy, I found out at 5 weeks and at 7 weeks, I began to bleed. It was terrifying, and I did ask on several occasions, several different people, whether it was midwives or doctors, because I was at A&E, I was at the emergency room if you're in other parts of the world, getting several scans done before I was even due a scan. I think in the UK your first scan is normally done about 12 weeks and your second scan is done about 20 weeks. At this point, at 22 weeks, going on 23, I think I've had 5 or 6 scans, possibly. And that wasn't all to do with bleeding. Some of it was to do with fetal medicine got involved because of my previous past medical history as well. So basically I had all these scans done, and I kept asking people to look at my cervix, and I just felt like nobody was going to do it. And eventually I did. When I went to the A&E one night, someone did look and told me that it was exactly the same as what I'd been told in 2018 or 19. And it just reassured me. But because the bleeding didn't stop, it didn't make it any easier, because every time this happened, every time you went to the toilet, I was just dreading looking down. I was dreading wiping. Sorry if that's a bit graphic, but if you watch the vlogs, they're even more graphic. Talking about poops and all that kind of stuff too. Love it. But yeah, just, it was a lot. And at 14 weeks, I got to meet my consultant for the first time, my consultant obstetrician. I already knew my consultant, not gynecologist, consultant cardiologist and diabetes specialist. I already knew them. And then I got a consultant obstetrician as well. And I met her for the first time. And the point when I met her, she asked if she could look at my cervix. And I was like, of course you can. And she swabbed it, and the amount of blood that came, even though I know this is a first trimester roundup, at 14 weeks, I feel like that's the breaking point for me. At that point, so much blood. She herself was shocked, and she then sent me to a specialist gynecologist, an urgent referral to gynecologist for another colposcopy. So, you can talk about morning sickness, you can talk about being grumpy and hormonal and all the normal things, having anxieties, worries that all women have with being pregnant. But I just felt like this is not something I'm willing to share with the world until I feel like I am starting to see the other side of this. And at 22 weeks pregnant, going on 23 now, I feel like that, thankfully. So just to let you know some other kind of first trimester type things, and if anybody has any questions, if you have came here because you're a type 1 diabetic as well, please drop them below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer anything. And if you're not diabetic or have cardiological problems, then fucking ask a question as well, it's fine. Basically, with regards to my blood sugars, being sick a lot, having a lot of nausea was not easy. I found in the first trimester I was having low blood sugars up to 6 times a day. Could possibly be more than that sometimes. Constantly low blood sugars because my appetite was very poor, so that was very difficult to deal with. And now, as I've moved into the second trimester, it stayed stable till about 18 weeks, I want to say. And I'll tell you what happened in the second trimester and the second trimester roundup. But other things to take into account, wind, gas, bloating, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Actually, in my first trimester vlog, I think I show you my bump at one point and I'm like, oh, it looks like it's starting to take shape. And then I think about 17 weeks, I was like, my stomach is flat. There's nothing there. In the first trimester, the amount of burping farting. The amount of constipation is unreal. I'm sorry if this is absolutely not what you wanted to tune into, but if you know me by now, I'm very, very honest and graphic at times because I'm a nurse and I think you need to just be open and honest and have a chat about these things. So lots of that stuff, lots of nausea, and also I would say I eat usually a very healthy, balanced diet. I really struggled to try and get, like, you know, green veg into me, whereas all the things you read, maybe in the second trimester video I will share with you what I have been reading, but basically everything that you read when you're first pregnant, you think, I'm pregnant, I need to read a baby book, I need to buy some baby books, all of that kind of stuff that you read, it just actually, do you know what, I'll show you this one. So I went and grabbed this book because it's actually comical. So when I first found out I was pregnant, I was like, buy a baby book, let's find out stuff. And then I seen this one on Amazon and I was like, that looks quite good. Like, food to eat during pregnancy, great. And as I say, I have quite a healthy and balanced diet normally. I eat really well. I've never been a fussy eater. This was useless. Not because it's a bad book, but because I was so sick. There was no way I was gonna be eating, I don't know, like on the back here there's like aubergines and stuff. Let me just look at one of the recipes for you. Fish tacos and mango salsa. Now, on a normal everyday like occurrence, I would think that sounds really appetizing and quite healthy, and it sounds like a nice dish to make. Seeing that first trimester, if you'd put something like that down to me, I'd have hit you with it. Like, I'd have been like, take that the fuck out of my face, I do not want it. And that was so difficult because I'm not a fussy eater usually, and because I tend to eat quite well. So I bought that book with great intentions, but my advice to you would be, if you are just finding out you're pregnant, all these people that do mummy vlogging or pregnancy vlogging, stuff like that, if they're saying, oh, you know, I get up in the morning and I know I'm doing an American accent because quite a lot of them, they're American. But if they're getting up in the morning and they're like giving it like, I eat my wheatgrass smoothie, or I have like an avocado smoothie in the morning and then I go for a workout, fuck them. Like, seriously, fuck them. I myself did try in my first trimester to continue to exercise, and that was purely because my blood sugars are stable or more stable when I exercise, and I normally would go to the gym kind of 2 to 3 times a week. And then when I got hit with the pregnancy, I was like, oh no, absolutely not. I think in the first trimester in total I maybe worked out 4 to 5 times. I just couldn't do it. Partly to do with exhaustion, partly to do with nausea, also to do with the bleeding, because I found if I did try and do any kind of exercise, I started to bleed. So I didn't want to do it. So for obvious reasons, I did not exercise as much as I should have. And for a healthy, balanced diet, people drinking wheatgrass smoothies in the morning, absolutely fucking not. I was eating ice pulls. I was eating salt and vinegar crisps. Salt and vinegar crisps I think that must be my craving, because salt and vinegar crisps any day of the week at the moment, I will eat the whole bag. Even if it's one of those big bags, I will eat the whole bag. I love salt and vinegar crisps. And I normally have, as I always say to you with your cuppa, a sweet tooth. I normally have really, like, I love a cake, I love coffee and a cake. Now I'm like, oh, I still like the odd sweet thing, but for me it's definitely savoury, crisp things, crunchy stuff. And as now I've moved into the second trimester, I have been able to eat more healthily, which is nice. But in that first trimester, do not beat yourself up about making sure you're doing what all the lifestyle moms are doing on the internet. Fuck them, quite frankly. I remember the very first time I met one of the midwives, and she said, see, if you're only sitting on the couch every day eating crisps, you're not doing anything wrong. And I was like, okay, thank you so much, because I just thought I was doing everything wrong. Oh, the emotions. I found I was watching Drag Race quite a lot because I was off by work because I was so sick, which I couldn't share with any of yous. I was watching Drag Race, I watched Pose as well, back to back. There's been a lot of Netflix viewing and things like I could watch an advert with a puppy in it and I would cry in the first trimester. It was so tough. One of the other things I was going to say, and again I speak about it in the vlogs, is coffee. So I have a decaf coffee this evening, and I can say I have only been able to eat or drink decaf or even hot drinks, decaf tea, coffee, anything like that. I've only been able to start taking them again in the last 3 weeks. Like, before that I was having chocolate milk at breakfast because I felt like I needed something milky at breakfast. I didn't just want water or juice, but at the same time I didn't want to have tea or coffee. It made me violently ill. It was awful. So although that has waned off now and I can enjoy the odd decaf coffee and tea and things now, initially in the first trimester that was an absolute no-go for me. Absolutely not. So if you are interested in my progress and my journey and how things will start to progress, and hopefully by the time we get to spring we will have a lovely little person to talk about as well. But as I say to you, this is very much my personal journey, how I've been dealing with it. I do not think in the future I am going to be, you know, plastering my child all over this channel. I just don't feel it's the kind of thing I want to do. There might be the odd photo on Instagram, family photo or something, and there might be, I maybe will initially introduce you to them, but this channel is not going to become a mummy vlogging channel because that's not what this channel is about. This channel was my little space, and I think as you become a mum as well, although I cannot promise you filming is going to be as routine if it ever has been routine, but I just think I do not want this channel to circulate around that. There's some people that I watch, like Michaela McDade, who has 2 children, and the children are not the centre of her channel or her vlogs. Of course they are included in some bits and bobs of her life, they are part of her life, but that is not necessarily what her channel is about. Other people that I watch as well, like Anna Newton, made a really conscious decision not to include her child in her work essentially because this is what she does for a job. Obviously not a job for me, it's a hobby. And actually one of the people that I follow over on Instagram, SJ, she actually speaks really openly about the fact that when she had her child, she then felt like she lost this part of her, this creative, like glamorous, wanting to put on a bit of makeup side of her. That might happen to me too. I'm well aware of that once I have a child here, that will be my priority, not making YouTube videos. But also I want to remember me, and I don't want to lose this part of me because it's been so important to me over the years. So for that reason I would like to keep them kind of relatively separate. And that's not a dig at anybody that does do channels like this or Instagrams that are for their children. I've found that so useful. Like I say, I wouldn't have found Lauren, the other lady that's type 1 diabetic, I wouldn't have found things like that if it wasn't for people putting that stuff out there. But I just don't think necessarily it's for me, and I'm sure all of my viewers will understand that. And as I say, if you've clicked on this because you've never heard of me before and you wanted to see what a first trimester was like, or just a chat about what to expect when you first become pregnant, then thank you so much for joining. I do hope that you will think about subscribing. But usually we are talking about highlighter, lipstick, traveling, which I'm sure will happen in the future, so I cannot say whether or not my child would be in some of that footage, but I am not going to make it about them. Also, the reason I keep saying them is because we do not know what we're having, and we don't want to know. We are going to leave it for a surprise, so that's quite nice. And we have thought about some names, but nothing confirmed yet. And officially I am due on the 18th of April. But again, because of my health complications, I will more than likely be taken in a lot earlier than that. So maybe 37 weeks or something. So I don't actually know when I'll be having them. It'll be a game of chance. And I also, I'm not sure how I will be having them, whether it will be natural or C-section yet. That is still yet to be decided by myself and my medical team. And again, that is because of my health complications and history, rather than a choice as such. I just want to do whatever is safe, and I have told all of my medical team that I'm dealing with, I'm going to listen to the experts, I'm going to take the advice, and I just want them to get here safely, and I want me to hopefully be able to do it very safely as well, because Alan keeps telling me that his main priority is me, and now he has this other person to think about as well, so it's a lot for him too. And I think sometimes we don't think about that when it comes to the partner relationship. I think sometimes we forget that actually there's a lot of stress on them too, because all of a sudden they have you to worry about, and especially in my case, because of my complications, he's just constantly worried something's going to happen to me, but he also has to worry about the little person. A lot of the time, I only really have to worry about the little person. I'm not thinking about me and all of this, I'm just thinking about the little person. And he thinks about both of us. So that's a lot to take on board. Anyway, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you if you watched, and thank you so much if anybody says congratulations, and to the lovely people who have already known on Instagram and what have you, the people that I've met over the last kind of 18 months or longer, family, friends, work colleagues, etc. Thank you so much for keeping Stum and keeping Mum the word, because I just wasn't ready to talk about it yet, and I hope you all understand that. I'm sure you all will. And we will see where it goes from here. As I said, the vlogs will be in the corner, and I will see you all again in the next one. Bye.